sounds that were missing. Ray's snores, Ray's mutterings, Ray's accusations, Ray's threats. She knew every sound the house could make, and the soft, hollow thump wasn't one of them. The sound didn't belong in her house. Lee took a deep breath and pulled the blankets up to her chin, listening for the aberrant sound to repeat. Nothing. A minute passed, and the wind changed directions north, she thought, and listened to the pop of the tap its skeletal twig fingers against the window.
Jesus, girl,
Lee said to herself, out loud, but whispering, because even her voice wasn't part of the normal night sound she'd grown accustomed to.
Honestly, it's probably just the house settling.
Ray had been a great believer in the settling of houses. That had been his explanation of every night sound that woke her up, that was unfamiliar and that didn't belong.
It's just the damn house settling, for God's sakes. Go to sleep. I have to be up in a couple hours.
And in the morning, if she had the nerve to bring it up again, his head would lift from the newspaper barricade he constructed around his breakfast, and he'd point up to the cracks in the ceiling as if they hadn't always been there, and mutter. He never spoke out loud, just muttered. Something about the house settling, because that's what old houses did. They settled. The floorboard at the entrance of the hallway, the one she'd asked Ray to fix for months, creaked.
It's nothing.
Except that it was. The headboard rattled against the wall when Lee sat up. It seemed so loud in the darkness, louder than the creaking of floorboards in the hallway. But she knew that sounds couldn't be trusted at night. Ray had always told her that. Criticized her about it when she woke him up out of a sound sleep because of something she'd heard. Thought she'd heard.
You're nuts, you know that? Jesus H. Christ. I work my ass off all day, and all I ask is for 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Oh, but I guess that's even too much to ask for you, huh? Isn't it? If you hear something, you go check it out. Just a damn house settling.
Ray hated getting up at night. Lee thought it was because he was scared, afraid. There really was something there. That was why he always told her it was just the house settling. Only the house settling.
God damn it!
Maybe that's all it was this time. Just the house settling. Getting comfortable for the night. That's all it was. That's all it ever was. And in the morning, while she made coffee and toast, she would look up at the new cracks in the kitchen ceiling and prove it to herself. Ray would have been proud of her if he'd been there. But then the second hall floorboard creaked as weight was slowly lowered onto it, followed by a third creak, and then a fourth. It wasn't the house settling at all, and it wasn't just a new night sound. There was someone in the house. Someone who knew she was alone. Someone.
Oh, God.
Was the bedroom door locked? She always locked the door, even before Ray moved out, because she never really was able to convince herself that the night sounds were just the house settling. But had she remembered to lock it tonight?
I always lock the door. Well, why wouldn't I lock it?
Lee worried a piece of cracked skin off her bottom lip as she stared at the door at the far end of the room. It was closed, but it was too far away and too dark for her to tell if the push button on the knob was in or out. Damn it, she couldn't remember.
You never remember anything, Lee. That's your problem. That's your only problem, Lee. You can't remember anything, and that's why you keep harping about things over and over.
She'd asked Ray 100 times to install a deadbolt on the bedroom door, but he never had. Just like he'd never fixed the headboard, or the cracks in the kitchen ceiling, or gotten up in the middle of the night when she heard a strange sound, or fixed the floorboard someone was in the house, and that someone was coming to get her.
Ray!
The headboard slammed against the wall as Lee turned to grab at what had always been his side of the bed. The undisturbed blankets were ice cold against her hands. She'd forgotten he was gone. He'd moved out of the house and her life 2 months before. Gone. Forgotten. Adios. Sayonara. Aloha. Hasta la bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you on your way out.
You goddamn bitch. You didn't even know how easy I had it. But I'm gonna show you.
Oh, God, Ray! Where are you?
There's someone, a strange man in the hallway began laughing, and the hollow sound made Lee's skin crawl.
I'll show you how good you are.
This time Lee didn't bother trying to be quiet. The man knew she was alone, so there was no reason trying to pretend anymore. When the headboard struck the wall again, he was already at the door, slamming the push button in just as the knob began to turn.
Go away! I have a gun, and I'm not afraid to use it!
Laughter was softer this time and emptier. The sound of the knob rattling against the latch plate more than made up for it. He was trying to get in. There's someone in her house. The lock wouldn't keep him out any more than it had kept Ray out that last time. He kicked the door open and broke half the bedroom furniture before turning on her. He'd been so angry. She'd never seen him that angry. And there'd been so much blood.
Kelly. Oh, call Kelly.
The man was still rattling the knob when Lee turned and ran to the phone on the small bedside table.
Oh, God, Kelly. Please pick up.
The phone rang twice before Paul's semi-conscious elbow jab alerted me that the shrill sound hadn't been part of the dream. But I should have already known that. Dreams usually end when a person wakes up. Only nightmares continue. Paul mumbled something and turned over away from me when I picked up the receiver. Thank God he was a heavy sleeper.
Kelly!
My fingers tightened around the handset. It had been 5 weeks since the last frantic midnight call. 5 weeks. Almost long enough to think it was finally over.
God, Kelly! Are you there? Oh, why don't you say something? Kelly, answer me, please!
I scooted to the edge of the mattress and tucked the phone up against my ear. I had no other choice. For a moment, there was only a whisper of static, the drone of a fiber optic lullaby. And then,
Kelly! Please, Kelly, answer me! Where are you?
I'm right here, Lee. I was suddenly aware of how much I sounded like my twin, right down to the ragged tone in her voice. Lee began sobbing right on schedule.
Oh, God, Kelly! I don't know what to do. There's someone in the house.
I closed my eyes and quickly opened them. It was easier to stare at the illuminated face of the clock radio at 12:45 a.m. To imagine Lee's terrified face. Lee, try to calm down.
But I don't know how I got in. I know I locked all the doors. I mean, I think I did. No.
hanging up. I am. But only in the bedroom. You'll only take a minute.
It's him, isn't it? Paul.
Demanding tone and crept back into her voice, overwhelming the terror that had only been there a moment before.
You care more about him than your own sister. Oh my God, someone's trying to break in.
I'll be right there, I said, shivering as I slipped out from under the electric blanket and felt the cold gather upon my bare legs. Shit! I mean, hold on.
What? What do you mean, hold on? What are you talking about? Didn't you hear me? Someone is trying to break into my bedroom. Doesn't that mean anything to
I
you?
pressed my lips together to keep my teeth from chattering as I pushed my arms into the sleeves of my fleece robe. Even with fleece and flannel, I could still feel the goosebumps begin a slow migration up my legs. Oh, slippers would have been nice, very nice, but I didn't have time to play hide and seek with the shadows under the bed. If I didn't pick up the living room extension, we would hang up and call back. She'd done it before. The bare patch of wooden flooring that separated the hallway from the living room felt like ice against the soles of my feet, causing my toes to curl in. I could feel the first twinges of a cramp building in the back of one calf as I hurried to the relative warmth of the high-low carpeting. I almost sighed with relief. Paul liked the house. A little chilly when he went to bed, and I usually didn't mind. Unless Lee called. The phone was cold against my ear when I picked up, but Lee's voice was even colder.
Anything to you? You're my sister. We're supposed to help me. Don't you love me? Wait, don't you care? God, if Mom and Daddy were still alive, did they think...
Lee, stop it!
I can't believe you. My life is in danger.
No, it's not. I wanted to tell her, but I didn't. I couldn't. We wouldn't have listened anyway. Why didn't you call the police, Lee?
What?
Police, Lee. Why didn't you just call the police?
You're my sister.
Lee, call the police, please.
Sisters are supposed to look out for each other.
Her broken record. She's like a broken record that can't be fixed. I leaned back against the couch cushion. I covered my feet with the robe. It didn't help. The room was too cold. I couldn't stop shivering. Please, listen to me. Call the police. Lee, please.
We always looked out for each other when we were little. But don't you remember? So we couldn't get hurt. You're the older sister. You're supposed to protect me.
I remember. But Lee, listen to me. You can't be. It's all right, Lee.
It's not all right. Don't you understand? It's not all right. Oh my God.
I wasn't sure. I was never sure, but I thought I heard wood splintering.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Can I help me? He's breaking down the door.
Lee, please. You have to stop this.
I don't believe this. It's Ray. It's only my stupid ex-husband, Kelly. But everything's all right now.
No, it's not Lee. But Lee didn't hear me. Lee never heard me at this point.
How the hell did you get in here, Ray? I thought the lawyers made it clear that you were to give back your house keys. You know you're not supposed to be in here. The lawyers made that
lights.
Honey?
I rubbed a sleeve across my eyes, hurriedly hung up the phone before turning to force a smile at my husband. He was wearing only his pajama bottoms, seemingly unaware of the cold. I envied him. Sorry. Did I wake you? He stumbled across the room, collapsed on the couch next to me. I shivered when he pulled me into his arms. He was so warm and solid and real.
I heard you talking.
I'm sorry.
Who are you talking to?
We.
Oh, God, baby. When are you going to stop this?
I curled in close and wished Paul had taken the time to throw on a robe. It would have been nice to bury my head into something soft and warm. To hide my head, just like I used to do when we were little.
Look, Kelly. I know you feel responsible, but you didn't know what he was going to do. You can't keep blaming yourself. Lee had no business calling you instead of the police. It was her fault, not yours. You couldn't have done anything anyway.
His hands moved against my robe, gently patting my back as if I were a child who just woke up from a bad dream. Oh, God, I wish I could wake up.
And these phone calls. Half the time you're tossing and turning in bed. The other half I wake up to find you out here, talking on the phone in the dark. Honey, you know Lee's dead.
I know.